All right, so good afternoon, everyone, once again. For today, we'll be going through our session where we stopped our previous lab, which is on the Portugal Academy that we've been assessing for some times. All right, so thank you. So that's what we're going to look into now. So, all right, so for you to do that, I'm expecting every one of us to log in into our Portugal Academy first. Log into your Portugal Academy. So once you log in, you're gonna have something like this. This is what you're gonna have, right? Then you can go to your academy, click on your academy. So once you click on your academy, you'll be where I am. Then from there, you can scroll down. You can scroll down, and you're gonna have what we call level progress. So your level currently, as a newbie, you've not solved anything. All right. So that's your level progress, then your certification level progress, exams, and the like. All right, so this is what we'll be using now. The previous one we've done is just basically, let me say it's a child's play or just like an introduction. So we're gonna start the real work right now. All right. So this, as a newbie, just an apprentice, you should be able to solve all of these 54 task labs. Then as a practitioner, 160 tasks, then as expert, 36. All right, so it's not really that much, but it's a lot of work. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start with the apprentice. Let me click on get started. So once you click on get started, you're gonna have two parts, which is the apprentice and the practitioner. All right, so we can click on the apprentice because that's what we are starting with, right? So let's pick that. So clicking on the apprentice, we're gonna have what I have in my front. Are we there? Definitely we should be there. If you are not there, you need any support, you can let me know, all right? So in your apprentice, this is what I'm gonna click about. It has a progress that we are following. All right, so for the first one, you say what is path transversal? Understand? So path transversal is basically, is the same thing as directory transversal, all right? So more or less like you're checking your directory where a particular file is stored inside what and from what to what, understand? So that's just the way it is, all right? So they say these vulnerabilities enables an attacker to read arbitrary files on the server that is running an application, all right? So which can include your code and data, your credentials, maybe for back-end system, or those sensitive informations in your operating system files and the likes like that. So those were the kind of parts, you check your parts, when you are copying a particular file, for instance, now when you create a folder on your desktop, surely it has a path. That is the path. Maybe from that folder, you created another folder inside it that store cybersecurity materials. Are you getting it? So if you are reading through the paths, that's what you are going to be having to be from that, maybe from that cybersecurity material to another folder you name Ade, to another folder you name Shegun. So the folder, the path, when you open those folders, you're gonna see a path at the top of your, in the address bar. Then copying those lines, those things that look backslash slash, those are the paths, you understand? Like directory paths, all right, or directory transfer. So you're trying to move through that, all right? So that's just the way it is. Okay, so we're gonna continue the directory trespasser, all right? So from this particular write-up we are able to see on our screen, it's really talking about we being able to read arbitrary files, via path transversal, all right? So for instance, imagine a shopping application, that displays image of item for sales, like the previous ones we've been dealing with. It displays, images of item for sales ranging from, the jackets and all of that. So they said this might load an image using the following, right? This is where your knowledge of, HTML, CSS, being a web developer comes in, because you discover that this particular line of code here, this particular line of code is going to show you, it's going to display an image. All right, it's going to load an image for it to display on the screen. That's why you have your tag, img, src, the source. The source is referring to the directory, all right, more or less like the directory, the path where the 218.png is stored. All right. So this is the part. So once it cuts this part, it's going to fetch the image from uh, wherever you put the image. So this is the part is going to follow. All right. So that's why it's more or less like a directory transverser. All right. So we say the load image. You can see the load image. All right. The load image URL takes a file name, right, parameter, and returns the content of the word of the specified files. It's going to display this 218.png image. All right. So we talk about the image files, being stored on the disk in a particular location. That was what I was trying to explain to you. When you open the folder, you see www. Inside it, you see what? And you see images, all right? So this is more or less like a path on us to where this particular image is stored. So this is where it's going to fetch the image 218.png, all right? So to return an image, all right? So please give me right? So that's the directory to the folder to the image. All right. So to return an image, so this particular thing is going to return the 218.png. All right. So that's just it. All right. So the application appends the request file name to this base directory and then uses the file system API to read the content of the file. All right. So in other words, the application read through. I've explained this earlier, this particular part below. Okay. So we say that the application implements no defenses against path transversal attack. As a result, an attacker can request the following URL, to retrieve this particular detail from the server system that you want to get the password, all right, file from the server system, all right. So that's just because the developer did not implement a particular, set of instruction that can mitigate this kind of attack, the path transversal attack. That's why we're able to explore that. So, and what's the essence of you being able to explore that so that you can always advise as an application security engineer, as a pen tester on the best practices, to developers, or even if you work as a developer yourself, you're able to write a secured program, all right? So this particular part is now is trying to reference these, all right? So for it to fetch the password, all right? So this causes the application to read the following part, all right? It's going to read this where the image is located, then it's going to go through then until it's able to fetch out this particular. So this sequence is valid part within the 5 parts, all right? So we can always read through this as well. Okay, so for our attacks now, on Windows, both this and this, it's valid, all right? Both this particular syntax, all right, and this particular syntax are valid directory transversal sequences, all right? So either way, for the Windows, it's valid, all right? So because we need to understand how each and every of all these programming syntaxes are being, the best format for them is needed, all right? So can we continue? So now we want to do a lab, we want to solve a lab that deals with our path transversal for a simple case. All right. So let's look into that. So for us to be able to achieve that, we're going to click on our access lab. All right. So having clicked on the access lab, let's see what we have. So this will be here before, right? And want to access our lab now. Okay, so when we click on the access lab, this is what we're able to get, right? It leads us back to the previous page where we have, right? So if you have this particular outlook on your screen, so you can just click on your access the lab. Once you click on the access the lab, then you should have where I am currently. So you should be having this. Yes, you should be having this. Something of this kind just should be what you should be having. All right. So let's go back to the lab instructions. It said this lab contained a path transversal vulnerability in the display of product images. right? So to solve the lab, retrieve the content of what etc password files. Okay, so for us to be able to do that, we need to look into this particular path. All right. So we need to look into this particular part. And once we look into this particular part, what is there and what we want to observe? All right. So he says, use Bob suit to intercept the modify a request that fetches a product image. Okay. So modify the file name parameter, giving it the value, this particular thing. Observe the response contain the file contains the content of the this file. All right, so that's what we want to quickly look into. Okay, so modify the file parameter, given the value, so. Okay, all right, so once I access the lab, normally before accessing the lab, it is expected of me to have connected this to my Bob suit, isn't it? All right, so let's check that. Let's launch our Bob suit. Our Bob suit is on, right? Okay, mine is on earlier. Okay, so you can always just reset this. Okay, so that means I have to log in now. Let me start afresh because this was my former lab. So let me shut down everything and start all over. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is launch your Bob suit. Where I'm going to do mine. So once you launch your Bob suit like this, then the normal way we've been going about it, you click on your start Bob suit. Okay, so you can go to your proxy, turn on your proxy, then open your browser.
So you can't see your box.
Oh, you can see my Bob suit, so I'm here to add it to the of now. Can you see the Bob suit now?
Yes.
Definitely, yeah. So you can open your browser the same way I did, which is the browser is opened and launch whatsoever your browser you want to launch. Then you can come here, sign up your Postsuite as we've done earlier. Postsuite.net. All right, wait. Let me turn off this intercept now. Let me load my browser first. Okay, so just log in. Normal process. Log in. So you can click on use your email. All right. Password. Then you log in. Okay, so I can access my account. Then click on your academy. Okay. Then we go straight to the lab where we are. So let's just resume our lab. All right. So then you click on access the lab. All right. So and this is what I need. So I need to go back to my Bob suit, then pick my intercept and show it on. And let me reload this particular browser because the path I'm looking for should be this particular path. All right. Okay, so this is the particular path I'm looking for because I was told from the information we gather under the solution, it says that use Bob suit to intercept and modify a request that fetches what a product image. So modify the file name parameter, giving it the value this. All right. So let me pick this particular value, then assign it to anywhere I see my file name in where I'm looking through. So this is my box. So this is the intercept, which is on. All right. So I have my get method, my images. Oh, this is my file name. It's initially was given 58.pjp. So can I just change the value of which it should be able to achieve? Let me see if I can just paste the particular URL we're given. All right, so let me forward it again. Okay, so what was I asked to do? I've inserted that, then observe that the response contains etc password. Okay, so I've done that accurately, but let me go. Normally, I'm meant to do that through the use of my repeater, which is what I used to use often. So can we just scroll down? Let's just go to our repeater. Let's move straight onto our repeater. What values are we gaining from our repeater? Okay. Sorry about this thing you're seeing. Sorry about this. All right, so this, the intercept we had earlier on our repeater. So we already have it in our repeater now. I've sent it to our repeater. So let me send the response. So I moved it directly from this uh, intercept. This was where we got the URL to the image of which we want to replace. Just send it to your repeater. Then once you get to your repeater, when we send it automatically, just send it again. You see the response, okay? Then let's replace the file name with what we were given. We're told to replace it with this particular value, all right, as stated in the document. So then let's send the request again, all right? So once you send the request, you have this information, all right? Wow, 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 wow. So we've gotten all of this information, right? So when you look at this information, are there things that is very, very important or that you think are meaningful to you here? Can you just check through? Really have anything that is meaningful to us from what we've seen? I'm not so sure yet. But let's go to our documentation. I guess that's one of the best routes to know what is expected of us. All right. So from our documentation, we're told to observe the response contained, observe that the response contained the content of the etc/password file. Okay, so let's go back to our Bob suit. Do we see a content that contains the password? Do we have any? So what are the informations that you can derive from this once we are done with the lab? So can anybody tell me what you've seen or what you've observed from what we've done so far? Are there things that you felt that are meaningful to you from what you're saying? Well, these are just ways of navigating through issues like this. All right. So let me hear your feedback from us. Thank you. Please, you can unmute yourself and speak. You can unmute yourself and speak. So you can unmute yourself and speak, please. Hello. So you can mute yourself and speak, please. Let me just hear you. I'm not hearing anything from us, so please let's speak. What can you see? All right. So where do you want me? Where do you want me to start again? Please, can you just unmute yourself and speak? Let me hear you.
From when you launch the browser, I
Which
think
of
you
the
start
browser?
from there. The Bob
Which of the
browser.
Okay, so do you all have your Bob browser launched? That's the first question. Because that's the first thing you have to do. You launch your Bob browser, then from there you open the browser, the other browser we are working with, isn't it? All right. So if you've done that, say, can we go back to where to access lab? See, we don't have much time and we really want us to cover much. We might not be able to be switching back and forth. So it's quite essential that we come very early to the class and we try to ensure that we launch our Bob suit. You know, we are coming for a practical class, you use your Bob suit. Log into your Bob suit, have your browsers open, all right? Okay, so that will really save us the stress of going up and down. Are you getting it? All right. So what you do is this. So I can just turn off this. Then let me just start afresh totally as requested. Please follow through. Please. I'm begging us. All right. So let me open my box suit again. So let me share the screen. So we have our screen share a particular screen. All right. So can we all see my box suits? Fine. We can all see my box suits now. All right. So after doing that, what you need to do now is um, you do your normal configuration the way we used to do it. Click on your next, right? Click on your Starbucks suit. All right. What happened? All right. So you have your Bob suit on. Then you click on open browser, but you have to go to your intercept. You can turn it off and open your browser depending, but since you are not collecting the traffic yet, so try launching your uh, turn it on, then try launching your browser. Let's see what we have. All right, so we should have our browser opened. Okay, let me add that particular screen so that you can see the browser as well being opened. All right, so this is the browser that we opened. Can we all see that? So this is the browser that we opened, the Chromium browser. I already created an account myself, all right? So having opened the browser, this is what you have. Let me just restore. Although I can turn off my intercept. Let me go back here. So this is what you have. Abi, you know how to log into where you have your labs. Can we all find our path to this place? Can you get it to this place? Or okay, let me just go back totally. All right, so I've logged in, right? I've logged in into I have logged in into the browser as done earlier. So this is the browser. This is the Chromium browser, right? Let me extend. So you know how you get here. You know you log in into your account, put in your password, click on Academy. Once you click on Academy, it will take you here. We are going to have two parts. If you have not opened it before, it's going to show you get started. So you click on get started. All right. So after that, you're going to have apprentice and practitioner. So just click on apprentice. Once you click on apprentice, you'll be where we are. All right. So you can just click on resume. Okay, so this is where we are. We can't go back to the lab again, all right, what we've done. So, but we can still access the lab. Let's click on, all right, so if I should click on access lab, it's going to load the part we are looking for. It said this lab contains a part transfers and vulnerabilities in the display of product images. So to solve the lab, retrieve the content of etc// files. All right. So to do that, let me turn on my intercept because I want to intercept the traffic. Then I can click on access lab because I know once I click on the access lab, it's going to load the browser. All right. So let me go to my bosses. Can afford that. Let's see what happened. So let me get what happened. What really happening here? Okay, I think there's a better route for me to do this. Let me just load the files, then go back to my Bob suit, turn on my intercepts. Then I think I can refresh these to make the work much more easier. And once you refresh, you can follow. All right, so I've gotten what I'm looking for. So this direct, this is the directory, this is the that's the intercept for this particular page. All right, so it's still loading anyhow, but that's the directory to this particular page. I can forward it once again to make sure that the whole page is loaded. All right, fully loaded. So that's what we need. We need this intercept. So from your document, you were told to scroll down, right? Go to the solution. Solution asks you to turn on your Bob suit intercept. You've done that. They say you should modify file name, right? So go here. Do you have file name? Where can you see file name from the intercept under this particular proxy? You can see file name here, the first line. So it's set to be what 36.jpg, all right, JPEG. So we can go back to the documentation again. It said modify the file name parameters given it the value this, all right? So you can just copy this particular value. You're told to modify the parameters there. Then, all right, before then, I would love to send it to a repeater. A repeater is just like more or less like a replay of what you had earlier, right? This is it, but you want to be seeing your response for the request. Send this request. You have a particular response shown here, right? It's showing you image, JPEG, and the likes. All right, let's see. So when we now edit this particular value for file name to what we're told to edit it to. So we've done that. Then let's send it. Let's see what our response is going to be. All right. So this is our response. So this is just basically what they asked us to do. You've seen the response. And from here, no login, all these things are showing directories to your password. All right, so that's just what they asked us to check. They said, observe the response contains the what? The content contains the content of etc/password files. And that's just, we are just observing. So that's all they want us to do in this particular task. Just see the directories, user being no login. It's really talking about login, a login related stuff, no login related issue stuff. So that's just what they want us to see. Talk about roots, all these kind of things are related to your login, right? This is your mail, var directory for the mail, okay, user, the bin, the no login. So you should be able to reach each of all these directories. So that's just basically what they want you to do. And that's solve this particular lab we are solving. So all you just need to do is, okay, oh, I've been able to do this. Oh, congratulations, you solved the lab. So that's it. You solved the lab. So that's just the basic things you want to do. Once you've attained that, just to refresh your browser, and that solved that particular lab. All right. So although I wanted us to solve more than one task today, but because we are not getting it, I don't know, we can rush. So do you have any question, please? You can throw up your question, throw your questions open. And if you still want me to
Good evening, sir.
let me know. All right, good evening.
Sorry, my network was not allowing me to.
Okay. Yeah, is that you?
All right, so I want to ask, are we still using the community edition or the professional edition now?
Yeah, this is the community edition. This is the community edition.
Okay, but the next lab that I saw there demands that we use the pro.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really bother going through that one. I take you straight into the academy. So you're already in the academy. Those ones you can solve the remaining ones yourself once you have a professional bob suit. But this one is the real deal. This is the real deal. That one is just basically the understanding of how to run your bob suit. You're already into the real deal now. You can see you're already in the boss academy. You have the apprentice, you have the practitioner, then you have the expert level. So if you can finish that, I can assure you that anything you do on your web pen testing, you are a pro. Every pro, majority of the pros still study. I personally still study this web security academy. I'm still running through the course again. You understand? So it's cool. You are going to it, you go there to refresh your skills. So when you're able to finish web security academy, you are thoroughly okay for your web pen testing. Then you can move into your mobile app, Android or iOS, if you know how to write little code like that. All right. So do we have any other
Thank you
questions?
so much. Thank you so much.
Do you have any other question? Do we get it? If you don't get it, you can still ask me a question. All right. Hey, everybody is getting lost like this. So is it that we have to go and if you are lost, that means you have to go through this video again. You understand? What we got on the repeater was basically logs. Yeah, definitely. That's what you're going to get, Damilari. You're getting logs. Logs showing you paths. You are doing path traversal. It's showing you user being var www images. So it's showing you where those particular stuffs are stored. All right. And furthermore, you are dealing with more of you saw something on no login, isn't it? You saw some things on no login. All right, so you saw something on no login, which are basically maybe in shells or you have in Linux. Those are the basic things you see in no login. So it's just trying to tell you that generally what a no login means is just trying to tell you that an account is not available, all right, or exists non-zero. So it's just telling you that that account is not available, but it's related to credential details. So it's normally we used to use it. It is intended as maybe probably a replacement shell field to deny login access to an account. So those are the kind of things those are the way it works. All right, so those are the way it works. So it's just really trying to tell you the situation of the environment. All right, so you can always check that as well, that the login and account is not available. That's the essence of no login. All right, so please can you share the link to the attendance? All right, so I think I can stop recording here.